So welcome everyone on this lovely Sunday, July 23rd. I am so always excited to have my sister Robin Hood with me, and Marnie Reeder, who has my back on every one of these Zoom sessions that we do. She's always there to say, you got this ready, Linda, what about that? Marnie, bless you. Thank you so much. So we're going to have a interesting interactive session this time. I have a video that I made more than 20 years ago, and I've really enjoyed going over it and seeing some of the changes that we have made since, which I'll be pointing out, but not very many. Interesting what's on the cat video. And let's see, we also have with us here some of our other teachers, Lindy Decker from South Africa, and Robin and Debbie. Debbie Potts is here, just got back from Japan and has a great cat story. And Deirdre Chitwood is one of our practitioners. It'll be fun if you practitioners will, TTouch practitioners will just go in and add that to your name so other people can see. So now I am going to, boy, we have a lot of people jumping on after the fact, eh? Now I'm going to just start, just a moment. I'm going to start my screen share, and I'm going to begin with this video, about 6 minutes of it. And then we're going to start bringing in the stories and some of the other pictures that that Robin has, some videos that she has from some of our practitioners. So now wish me luck here. Come on. Where is my video? I have to turn it on first, you all. Then here we go. Got it. Start it.
Hi,
Oh,
I'm Linda
wait,
Tellington Jones.
Stop just a minute, Linda. Okay. Now I find you again. This is always the tricky part, you all. You're under there somewhere. So I go here and hope that I find you, for heaven's sake. Come on. No. Oh dear. Here you are. Here you are. Yahoo. Okay. So I'm going to, oh, I went to the wrong screen share. Come on. Share screen. Thank you. I've got to get the sound and the optimize and the share. And here we go.
Friend Isabel, and we're going to be showing you today some of the Tellington touches, or the T-touches, that you can use to make a difference with your feline friend.
Can you make this bigger, Linda?
I've been doing this work with cats now,
and just getting there.
off and on for the last 10 years as I worked with
there. Ah! Oh my God. Come on.
Hi, I'm Linda Tellington Jones, and this is my friend Isabel. And we're going to be showing you today some of the Tellington touches, or the T-touches, that you can use to make a difference with your feline friend. I've been doing this work with cats now, off and on for the last 10 years as I worked with horses, and everybody who has a horse has a barnyard who has a cat in it. And what we found is that you can take a cat who perhaps is fine if you just kind of pet it once in a while, but it doesn't want to be in your lap. And by doing these strokes and various touches, you can have a cat that is really willing to snuggle in there with you and really spend some quality time that gives you something back. We've also found that cats who are perhaps okay with the family, but terrified when a stranger comes to the door, change their attitude. Or take an older cat who is starting to get a little bit stiff, doesn't want to be touched quite as much, hair, coat doesn't perhaps look as good. By stroking the ears and working on it in this way, you can really make a difference in how long your friend stays healthy. Show cats.
So I just want to stop the share for a moment and make the statement that I use the word, this is like more than 20 years ago, we made this video, and I use the word stroke, the ears, and we don't use that anymore because stroke is a word that's used in massage. And unless you're a massage therapist, you're not allowed, interesting, to use the word stroke. So we do a slide. And although I had the great honor of being accepted as into the Massage Hall of Fame, it doesn't give us the right to use massage. And Lindy Decker, who is here with us from South Africa, made this statement that I just love, and that is the fact that this is not massage, it's a message of communication.
I think, Linda, it was actually Lily Merkland that made it.
What?
It was Lily Merkland, not Lindy. Just so,
Oh,
just
thanks.
to, yeah, okay.
No, I appreciate that.
Lindy's shaking her head before.
Okay. One of our teachers in Switzerland. I apologize, Lily. Okay. So I just wanted to point that out. And one of the things that is taking a little bit for our English speaking practitioners to get used to, but for years, we've talked about ear work because it's a game changer with your cat. And so we call it ear TTouch now. And the reason we do, if I say to somebody who doesn't know this work, oh, we're going to do some ear work on your cat. So what is that? But if I say ear TTouch, then you think, oh, what is that? So that's why we're practicing getting more precise with our language. So back now, what I'd also really appreciate, if any of you have any questions, if you will print them in the chat, and please don't anyone answer them. Robin will be watching for questions and we'll answer them for everyone, unless it's personal questions. I saw somebody said you lived in New England and maybe someone is in your area. That will be great to make the contacts. Okay, back to our share. Oh. Okay, Linda. Oh, yeah.
Hi, I'm Linda
Oh my
Tellington
God.
Jones, and this is my friend Isabel. And we're going to be showing.
Sorry, that's not supposed to happen. I will get this.
Hi,
Just
I'm Linda
a moment.
Tellington Jones, and this is my friend Isabel. And we're going to be showing you today some of the Tellington
Trying to
touches
get
or the
this bigger,
TTouches
Robin.
that you can use to make a difference with your feline friend. I've been doing this work with cats now, off and on for the last 10 years as I worked with horses and everybody who has a.
God, Robin, I'm sorry. What is going on today with me? Come on.
Hi,
Linda, once
I'm
you
Linda
get it up, why
Tellington
don't you let
Jones,
it
and this is
run
my
so
friend
that,
Isabel.
and don't interrupt it.
We're
and,
going to be showing you
till
today some of
till you
the
get to the end
Tellington
of it, so
touches
we
or the
don't.
TTouches
So
that
I'm
you
not going
can
to
use
use
to
it
make a
till
difference with your feline friend. I've been doing this work with cats now, off and on for the last 10 years as I worked with horses and everybody who has a horse has a barnyard who has a cat in it. And what we found is that you can take a cat who perhaps is fine if you just kind of pet it once in a while, but it doesn't want to be in your lap. And by doing these strokes and various touches, you can have a cat that is really willing to snuggle in there with you and really spend some quality time that gives you something back. We've also found that cats who are perhaps okay with the family, but terrified when a stranger comes to the door, change their attitude. Or take an older cat who is starting to get a little bit stiff, doesn't want to be touched quite as much, hair, coat doesn't perhaps look as good. By stroking the ears and working on it in this way, you can really make a difference in how long your friend stays healthy. Show cats, we've used this quite a bit on. It's really stressful for a cat to go to a show and be stuck in the cage and have a stranger, the judge.
Linda,
picking it
did you
up
try
and
double clicking
handling
on
a
the
little,
file
like
to
a
get
piece
the
of
bigger
meat.
screen? Was someone's suggestion?
I am trying, I don't know how to, I just don't know what's going on. Oh, there. I don't normally have this problem.
That's
We've
it.
used this quite a bit on. It's really stressful for a cat to go to a show and be stuck in the cage and have a stranger, the judge, picking it up and handling it a little like a piece of meat. And by preparing the body of your cat to be handled and touched all over in a nice way, in a encouraging, respectful way, I find that it really makes a difference to that show cat. We also find for injured animals and for cats recovering, for instance, from surgery or who have various physical problems, that by doing these very gentle touches all over their body and by working the ears, that you can help that cat to recover faster and to stay healthier longer. There are a couple of stories I'd like to tell you. I have lots of them, but it's a question of which might be the most interesting. I think perhaps my co-author's story of her cat is one of the most interesting. This was a 14-year-old cat belonging to Sibyl Taylor who lives in a household where strangers are coming constantly because she has a bed and breakfast. And before the touch, her cat used to disappear into the closet or
Linda,
under
can
the bed the
you move
second
your
the
chat
doorbell
out of
rang,
the way?
and she
That's
wouldn't see
blocking
him
the screen.
until the guests left. So over a period of about a month, Sibyl used to do the touch on this guy when the guests weren't there, and she'd maybe do 5 minutes, and at first he didn't like it. He wanted to get away, and after 4 or 5 times, he would just sit a little bit longer, pay a little closer attention, and after a period of 2 weeks of doing the touches, perhaps 5 minutes, not more than twice a day, what began to change is that when the doorbell rang, he'd kind of hang around and say, I wonder who that is. Maybe that person is interesting. And after a month, he actually started coming out, looking people over and saying, I might not only sit at your feet, but maybe in your lap. And that's a typical case that we find of these cats who really don't like to be touched. I have another story of what we call the slasher cat. This was a calico that came to one of my 3-day trainings. This was a cat that would sleep on her friend's bed. She'd be sound asleep, move her hand a little, and the cat would nail her with her teeth and claws. Wasn't very pleasant, but she loved this cat. And we brought him into a 3-day workshop and passed him around, which we often do, so that many, many people did the touches, many being maybe 4 or 5, did the touches on this cat over a period of 3 days, not more than 10 minutes at a time because the people couldn't take it, nor could the cat. And in the beginning, we had to wrap her in a towel, and they actually had to wear gloves at first. And by the end of the 3rd day, this cat would just kind of hang out and be looking to see, okay, who's going to do this to me next? And the reports that we had a year later when she came back with the cat to another training was that this cat is completely changed. She maybe once every 3 or 4 months, she'll kind of take a little nip or a little scratch, but she catches herself and she thinks about it. And the relationship is very different between them.
So I'm going to stop this right now. And
I'm going to start doing
no, I didn't stop the
touches
sound.
on
Oh
Isabel
God,
here.
sorry, you all. I have to
And
get.
this is an
I have to
interesting
share it again and
situation.
stop it.
Isabel was one of these cats who also didn't like
Come on.
touch. She was always
Okay. So what I was about to say about Isabel rather, this is a kitty that needed to be groomed because she got a lot of mats. So my friend would always have a problem. And after doing a lot of TTouch on this kitty, she really loved it. But I want to what I want to point out to you, I'm on this video just showing TTouch, but we have other things that we also do with cats, with the wraps and with the playground, having cats do different things. So Robin, I would love it if you would just bring up what I'm going to do is have some other people tell their stories. And then what I'd like, what is on this video is ear T-touch, hair slides, basic T-touches, and an aggressive cat at 25 minutes. I'm going to, after we talk a little bit, Robin, and show some other videos, I'm going to show you that aggressive cat that I just spoke about and the change of her from the first and the third day, which is pretty remarkable. And then we have, through this whole video, we have different T-touches and the touch on the abdomen, the kittens, and scaredy cats that, just go into the bed and hide anytime anyone comes. So let's see how much we can get in 1 hour.
So
Robin,
just a question, what do you want?
so
Which I'll just show you a video of the wraps.
right? Yeah.
Okay, this is from Sarah Hauser, who's on the call as well, and who does amazing work with cats in the shelter that she works in. Let me just, here we go. And I should know where we are. There we are. Okay. Start this from the beginning.
So here are some cats I've used wraps with, and I'll go into a little more detail with Matilda and with Jinx. So this is Matilda. Now she had cerebellar hypoplasia, and so she could get very agitated at times, and also it was very wobbly. So what I found was most relaxing for her was to just gently drape the wrap around her and to do some really slow, nice T-touches. And that was calming for her and also seemed to give her a sense of balance, both physically and emotionally. So Jinx is actually a client cat that I worked with, but I wanted to show you just to demonstrate how useful the wrap can be for mobility issues. Now, Jinx had trouble feeling his back end, had some kind of neurological difficulty. And here he has a full wrap on that goes around his back legs a little bit. And you can see the trouble he's having, but this actually is much better than without the wrap. You'll see in a minute. It started to give him more sensation back there, and he was able to use his back legs in a much better way with the wrap on. Okay. Okay, later in this clip, yeah, you can see him walking a little better as time goes on. Then in this clip, this is without the wrap, and this is what happened a lot of times with him without the wrap, is he would lose sensation altogether and would end up dragging himself with his front legs. And so, having the wrap on him was so helpful. And then, that's his person there. And once she was able to right him onto his legs, he was able to kind of remember what that felt like to feel his hind legs. It's very interesting. So in this last clip, you see him walking without the wrap, and he seems to be retaining some of the feeling that he had when he had the wrap on, which is very interesting.
Robin, thanks for showing that. And one of the things we always want to say and to remember, T-touch is never a replacement for your veterinary care. And we are blessed to have quite a number of veterinarians who are also T-touch practitioners. So we have lots of support with this, but you can very much support whatever you're doing to help your animal. Robin, I think you have more, don't you?
I have another one on wraps, and then one on the playground. I just have to open it in the background. The thing is, you can see that how Sarah started with just laying the wrap over and then really progressed to the other wrap. So it's somebody had asked about a cat with a neurological problem. And so this is something that you might find is with vestibular syndrome, and that might also be helpful for that. But let's see if I've got this one. I do.
This is my girl Natalia, one of my two lovely kitties, and we're going to talk a little bit about wraps for cats. Now, one of the main things if you're going to try and put a wrap on a cat is to really do a nice gradual process, which may take days. It depends on, all depends on the behavior of the cat, okay? So, the first thing, you want to get them used to the material, and I will usually either cut an ace bandage so it's about an inch in width, or you can use, this is a piece of stretchy fleece and that works fine, or sewing elastic, anything nice and stretchy like that, okay? So the first thing, to get them used to the fabric, you can give them some treats on the folded up wrap, which I'm not going to do right now because I don't want to get her too overexcited. But the next thing I usually will do is just fold up the fabric and do some TTouches with it like this, and they get used to the feeling of it, which is really nice to do. And then the next step would be to unfold it just a little bit more and just kind of drape it a little bit like that. You know, just place it on and take it off. Now, we're not sure if we can do the next part. We're gonna try. Okay, we're gonna try. The first part of a quarter wrap is to put around the chest, so you might have to just stop there for a moment. Okay, that's really good. Wow, she's such a great demo cat. And then crisscross over the back. Now I'm just gonna let it sit there for a little bit, and then the next thing I would do for the quarter wrap would be to tie it under the stomach, and I'll show it on a stuffy in just a minute. Okay, so for the quarter wrap, I would wrap around the chest, and you want to make sure it stays around the chest and doesn't go up around the neck. Crisscross over the back, and then you can tie underneath, and that's just the quarter wrap. That's the easiest one, and that's what I would start with, especially with a cat, just to get them used to something simple. Okay, and if you wanted to do a half wrap, do a crisscross under the belly and then come around, you know, and tie on the top of the back. I do it off to the side so it doesn't put any pressure on the spine. So you always want to make sure that the wrap isn't too tight, that you can fit a couple fingers underneath, and if they want to get it off immediately, just take it off. You know, you don't want this to be a stressful event for them. So if they want it taken off right away, do that, and always supervise the cat when it has the wrap on so that they don't get tangled up in it, hung up in it, okay? And I also wanted to say, you know, I've worked with cats a lot with wraps with mobility issues especially, and sometimes even with a half or quarter wrap, it can give them sense of their back legs even when the wrap doesn't go, you know, further down the body. So it can be really really valuable.
So clearly I showed those out of order. Thanks, Sarah. I should have marked them 1 and 2, but you can really see, I think that was a great job of showing the introduction to the wraps that is really helpful with cats.
And what I wanted to point out, as Sarah was doing the touches at first, she was just doing, you know, very light, very small touches, and not, and on a little slide, very little slide. What I recently observed was somebody doing like 4 strokes, what we call Noah's March, down the back of a cat. And I have found 2 might be okay. But after you, many cats, after you get to that 4th one, man, it's just, they don't want it. It can be simply too much for them. And I love the way, Sarah, you did just the circles instead of an actual slide to and make a connection with that body. So Robin, I think you have some of the playground also, right?
Yes, I have. Let's hope this one's going to work. There we are. They have so we call the enrichment playground, and this is from Saskia Block, who is also on the call. Here we go. So I don't know if you want to, if you felt like unmuting when we're seeing things. I'm not sure if there's, can't remember if there's sound on this or not. Just 1 second.
Maybe we can get Saskia on just to talk about it. Well, I didn't see her come in.
She is. She's here. She's here.
I'm here.
Yeah, there she is. Okay, good. I'm going to start this, and I just can't remember if there's sound.
I don't
on
know
it.
if there's sound there.
Yeah.
But you can talk
There we go.
through Saskia.
Sometimes there's sort of an assumption that cats are just
Oh, you know what? I must have done a voiceover on it for the class. I'll just play it, and then you can
fine
talk
to be
about it.
left on
It's
their
probably
own.
easier.
And what we've discovered is that doing what is known as a free groundwork, or what I like to call enrichment playground, is really valuable for your cats, especially if you have cats that are indoor cats. And really what it is about is putting out any sorts of little elements or things that you might have around the house. And you can see here that we have some different mats, and we have a rope ladder and a lick mat, and you can have a snuffle mat. You can have something that's just has some different kinds of scents on it, and you put it around, and you can put some kind of treats, or as I say, you can use some kinds of scent. Oregano is something, but just like a drop or a diluted drop into something. Catnip. You can use anything that you think that your cat might find interesting. Now, it also allows you to find what are the things that your cat is the most interested in. Are there certain textures in terms of surfaces that they are a little bit reluctant to go on? You don't want to just put treats onto objects that your cat might find a little bit scary or uncertain. You want to kind of make sure that they're put around as well. And be there with your cat so that you can kind of watch, and you might scatter a few more things if they seem to find it really entertaining. You don't have to use all of these at any given time. You can put out just a few, and then another day you might put out something else. And, you know, it's part of this idea that if we have cats, if we allow them, especially indoor cats, to sort of hunt for their food, if you will, that it's much more enriching for them than if you simply give them a bowl of food. And it's a lovely thing to do with cats, and is entertaining, but it's also tiring for them because they get to use their nose, and we know that their noses are extremely sensitive. We do the same thing with dogs, and we can do it with horses and guinea pigs and pretty much any animal that you might have in your home, to simply make their life more enriching, their environment more enriching. And you might learn something about your cat as well. You notice that there's some water bowls around. You want to make sure that they also have access to water. You might notice some things about your cat as well. When you're just observing them from a distance, you might notice, oh, you know, he moves a little bit in a different way than I thought. You might be able to notice some changes in the coat pattern. So use it as a great way to interact with your cat and to give your cat something more to do. It's be creative with all the things that you might find entertaining, and your cat might as well.
So what else is there to say?
Sarah, Saskia, I would love to hear from you. You know, some of the things that you found with just specific stories with any cats that you would like to tell us about.
Well, at my workshops, the free work, what you just saw, I just show and tell them. But in the follow-up workshops, I do the groundwork with cats. So then the people also get more interactive with the cats, and we use the wands or paintbrushes that the cat can follow, and they go through different elements of the groundwork. And the cats really enjoy doing this, and you see the interaction between the people and the cats. develops doing this together. So it's a nice way to get everybody entertained in a way.
Nice. Thank you.
And don't you think it is that whole thing is people so frequently just think, well, I get a cat because I don't have to give it much attention. And they're so interactive. I mean, many cats just really enjoy that interaction from, I mean, not just contact, but giving them something that really does enrich their lives.
Yeah,
I hope you don't
exactly.
mind me barging into the conversation, but I just want to say too that doing some of the groundwork stuff is so helpful with cats that can get overstimulated, that have that kind of behavior, because it really gives them something to focus on. So quite often with cats with that behavior, I'll do some of the groundwork, and then I'll be able to do some of the TTouches and body work, because they're able to calm down after that. And you can use some of the same things that you use with the dogs, you know, the traffic cones, the labyrinth, all of that stuff.
Hmm.
So, Robin, I'd like to read something from the chat from one of our practitioners, Jill Hirschman Roth. What I think is so interesting in general is that we focus so much on horses and dogs in our TTouch practices. And yet all those years ago, when I came to my very first TTouch weekend training with Linda, I brought the cat book and did just a few touches with the feral cat that we had at the time that had issues, and her behaviors and the issues totally changed. Blew my mind, started me on the TTouch path. I love working with other animals. Jill, do you want to just talk about that a little bit, what you've seen with cats? Jill is in Austin.
With that cat?
Whatever
With that
cat you want.
Oh, well, I mean, that cat was just a cat that we had taken on because she was paralyzed from in her back end. And we took her because we were afraid she was going to get killed. So we just had her because she was safe with us. And she had quit using the litter box, and she just was safe with us. We had an enclosed porch, and we had a number of cats that could live on the enclosed porch, and she was just safe there. But she had quit using the litter box, and she didn't really hang out with us. I held her every day and petted her, and she knew that she was okay with us, but she didn't really want to hang out with us. And the rest of our cats were big boy cats that just loved us and hung out with us in the house, and she just preferred staying on the enclosed porch and being with the other cats. And I'm sitting here with all of our cats are kind of around me, which is what our cats usually do. And I went to that training because we also had some dogs that had some challenges. And I went there for the dogs. I wasn't there for the cats, but this particular cat quit using the litter box, which was just kind of annoying. And I thought, well, she isn't interested in people, so whatever. But I picked up the book and I thought, well, I wonder if this can do anything so that she'll quit pooping next to the box, because that's just annoying. And it said, do this thing to her ear and do this thing to her belly. And I'm like, yeah, right, that's going to work. But you taught the touches, so I did the touches, and I thought, well, I'm going to sit on the porch with Bunny Cat, and I'll do this thing to her belly, and I'll do this thing to her ear. And she just put up with it. I did some belly lifts and some ear touches as best I could, because I had no idea what I was doing. And this was the second day of the training. It was just a weekend training, and then the third day, so I did some little belly lifts and I did some little ear touches. And then that Sunday, which was the last day of the training, I was laying in our bedroom and just reading or something. And I'm laying in the bed, and Bunny Cat, who never came into the house, right? She just stayed on the porch. I'm laying on the bed, and I think probably one or two of our other cats were in the bedroom. And Bunny Cat came hopping into the bedroom, and she hopped up onto the bed, and she hopped up onto me, and she sat on my chest. We had her for 6 years, and she had never done that. So she's sitting on my chest, and my husband walked into the house, and the only time she ever sat on us was if we picked her up to pet her. And he walked in and he said, "Did you put her there?" And I was incredulous, and I went, "No." And she was using the litter box. And I hadn't done anything but maybe 5 minutes that second day of the training, in the morning and in the afternoon, and then that third day of the training, little belly lifts and little ear slides, just what I had sort of figured out from reading the book, because I hadn't even talked about it. I was thinking about the dogs. I wasn't even thinking about the cat. I just thought, well, maybe this will get her to use her litter box. So my head exploded, and I thought, I was a dog trainer. I thought, well, I have no idea what this TTouch stuff is, but Linda Tellington Jones is a genius, and I'm going to learn how to do this. And that cat lived to be, I can't remember, she lived probably another few years after that. I didn't have any more problems with her after that. And she was much more interested in people. And so, and I do a lot of work. I'm still, a TTouch practitioner that works with dogs, and I, work with a lot of cats and any other animal I can get my hands on. But that cat, every time I do a training, I tell people when they want to know why do you do this? It's not the dogs, even though I'm a dog trainer. It's that cat. It's Bunny Cat.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for that story. And what's happening here, you all, is that we are actually, as I see it, enhancing the intelligence of the animals. And what I mean by that, when I first wrote about that in Germany many years ago, one of the big experts wrote back and said, Mrs. Tellington Jones, animals are not intelligent, only humans have intelligence. And the definition that I am using of intelligence is the ability to adapt. And that's what we're looking at when that cat, because of her issues of the paralysis and the difficulty in her body, the way I see it, I'm interested in the cells. And the thing that got me interested in the cells was a concept in a book written by a Nobel Prizer, Sir Charles Sherrington, in 1976, when I read his statement that every cell in the body knows its function in the body. And I thought, holy mackerel, if that's true, all I have to do when I don't yet know how to do this amazing Feldenkrais method that I was learning, and I'd seen Dr. Moshe Feldenkrais do miracles with people, but I didn't yet know how. Every Feldenkrais practitioner can, but I didn't yet know. And I just remember reading that and looking at my hands and saying, wait a minute, I just have to tell these cells in this hand to talk to the cells in this body and simply remind this intelligence in this bodies that our animals have of their potential for ideal function. Just the potential for ideal function. And that's, all these years I've been looking for, wait a minute, you all, how come a child can do these simple 1 1/4 circles and reduce fear and pain in themselves or in their animals? And I know today, what I believe today is that 1 1/4 circle is that golden spiral that's in all of nature. It's in our DNA. And it's like when you just make these simple little touches, like Sarah just taking the wrap and doing just the concept of this 1 1/4 touches. What we're doing, it's like turning a key that connects with that divine intelligence in every cell in the body. I mean, we're all miracles, you all. And when you begin to see your cats as a miracle, holy mackerel, how do they see? How do they feel? How do they move? It's divine, it's universal source, divine intelligence in our animals and in ourselves. And it's just wildly wonderful that we can have all these other modalities that we use besides the 1 1/4 circle, which connects at the cellular intelligence level. But then we have all these other different ways of, like Saskia said, of, entertaining the person and the cat with the playground, with the wraps. It's just, and hearing these stories, and Robin, there's a story I want you to tell. And I remember it really well because Robin was doing a workshop in San Diego, and our niece lived there, and they had a beautiful cat, but they were not happy because the cat would never sit in their lap. So Robin, I want them to tell what you did in a few minutes. And by the way, I made this statement about working with a cat for like 10 minutes. not often, usually. I mean, 10 minutes is a long time. Short session. So Robin, tell
Yeah,
us.
I just, yeah, I will. And, you know, Sarah actually just posted in the chat too, that cat Natalia, who was in the demo video, is a former feral cat. TTouch has been a huge part of how she helped her two cats, former ferals, to acclimatize in the home. And, you know, it's considered by most cat experts that you, after a certain age, you can't change anything about the cat. And that's certainly not been our experience, for sure. So Christy's cat, Christy, my niece, brought her cat to this course, and beautiful Siamese, very interesting cat though. She would eat anything. Like it was like broccoli, you name it. She was just like, I don't know, would eat anything. The only way she could play with the cat is she liked to retrieve things. So she would toss paper and so on with her, but to be touched, she wasn't so happy. So she cried in her crate all the way to come to the course. And I opened the top of it and I just started doing some touch with her a little bit. And, you know, I do a little bit and pause and we chat and do a little bit more. And she was, the cat was like a little bit annoyed kind of, but I didn't force her into anything. I let her move around her crate a little bit. And then I found something, I can't remember what it was, that somehow she thought, oh, this isn't so bad. And that's one of the reasons we have so many ways that we make contact, is we have to find what I call that entry level place that the cat goes, oh yeah, you might be okay. And so then the cat started to rearrange herself so I could touch her in different places. And then and then she came and sat in my lap, I think. And Christy was just astonished. And so then I said, well, I'll show you how to do this. And Christy reached over and went to touch her in the way she would normally touch her. And the cat just, I think she had her on her lap and she walked back to me, the cat did, which is a bit embarrassing for me. So I just kind of laughed and I just showed her how to do something different. So when she took the cat home, she didn't cry on the way home in the crate, which was the first time she hadn't cried when she was traveling in the car. And from that night on, she came and would sit in her lap. So who knows? Like, we know that we are not going to make that change with every animal, but I've had so many animals that when you just change how you touch them and they start to realize that you really listen to them, that it makes such a difference. And somebody had asked about having really sensitive cats. And, you know, one of the things that we use are the great use for old makeup brushes is as a contact of making contact with your animals, whether it's in the air to start with or along the body. And you can use, I have this whole little thing of things like paint, any kind of artist paint brushes, and you can take it like a chopstick and put something on the end of it to make contact. So when we change the way we make contact, I think that's one of the most important things that we can do to help animals realize that we listen and that we're trustworthy.
So I would like to show just a few minutes of a cat that I talked about before, the slasher cat who came to a clinic. And the thing is that she completely changed. So I'm going to see if I can.
While you're doing this, Linda, I'm just going to ask, there's a couple of questions here that somebody said, can it help with a cat that's been diagnosed with feline idiopathic cystitis? I don't know. Sarah, or any of you worked with any cats like that? I know you do a lot of work in the shelter. Any of you that do TTouch? Because the ear TTouch is something that's for overall health in animals that we found that can really help support animals. That's the same with a cat with seizures or dogs with seizures. The ear TTouch, in my experience, has been really helpful in helping animals come out of a seizure more smoothly and generally shorten the duration. Sarah?
Yeah, I mean, what I would think about really is definitely I would go to working with the ears initially. And I think, you know, that kind of thing, my feeling is that it's so probably related to stress of some kind. So I would want to eventually get to where I was doing some TTouches very gently going down the body and just bringing the cat really back into its body. You know, I haven't worked specifically with a cat with that, but that's what I would think of if I was going to work with a cat with that condition.
And the thing to think
Yeah.
about when we're working with anything that is off is when the body is stressed or when you have some dysfunction like this, one way that I see it is the communication between the cells is inhibited, is reduced. And when we bring a sense of safety and just, it's like giving support to that cellular intelligence and activating that communication between the cells. And that's why, as you said, Sarah, working over the whole body very, very gently, just to support that phenomenal cellular wisdom in every cell in the body. So-
Deirdre has her hand up.
Hi,
Yeah,
Deirdre.
I just, hi everybody. I just wanted to add that to everything that's been said, that I had a cat who had seizures. She probably had about 5 in her life, and I would just see her kind of tottering around suddenly. And the first time it happened, it was, oh my goodness, you know, she literally gonna pass on me here. And I just picked her up and I put her on my lap and I started with the ear TTouch, and just held her in my lap and contained her and started, you know, the ear work and just working down her body and just kind of held her and just kept thinking, you know, you're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. You're safe. You're safe. And she came, you know, she came out of it pretty quickly. And as I said, it happened about 5 times. And each time I brought her out of it and she was fine afterwards. And when she did pass, it was nothing to do with the seizures.
Thanks, Deirdre. And the cat that I'm working on in the video, Isabel, that's why I actually started working with her, because she had frequent seizures. And after doing the TTouch, as I did in that video, and Annie working with her just a little bit, a few times a week, her seizures became much less frequent and much less intense. And we've had a lot of experience with that. Somebody just asked in the chat, what about the book? It's Getting in TTouch with Your Cat. And I looked on Amazon earlier this morning and there was a copy for $14 used. And Robin, you saw some also, right? Sometimes
Yeah, there are some copies on sale. Marnie wrote about it in the chat too, that on Amazon and on Kindle is where it's also available.
And all over eBay.
Okay, good. Thanks, Barney. Thanks. And Saskia has her hand up.
Yeah, about the cystitis, besides the working on the ears, I think also working beside the spine where the bladder meridian is could be very helpful. I worked with a cat that, a male cat that couldn't pee when he's stressed. So, and that really helped him to do that. So could be a good idea.
Thank you, Saskia. And one of the things that I found with any like extreme issues in the body, working along both sides of the spine, the entire length, can, with very gentle, like one pressure, no more, just making that connection down the spine makes a huge, I mean, I have one issue in the introduction to one of my books. Dr. Isenbugel, who was the head vet for the Zurich Zoo, wrote about this snow leopard that had an undiagnosable fever, and they didn't know what the source was, and they thought they were going to lose it. And I worked on that snow leopard for about 20 minutes, just from the nose, which was bloody mucus coming out of it with every breath, down up the head, down the spine to the tip of the tail, and the fever completely. The cat was normal. And he writes about that in the book. So, I mean, it's like miracles by just connecting with that intelligence. Shala Acker has her hand up. Shala, what happened to you? Are we
You have to
sending-
unmute, you have to unmute.
Okay. I just wanted to add an additional perspective to the cystitis, and I think the ear points and along the bladder meridian is great. But if you keep doing those touches down to the part of the body, around the bladder, and you're raising the intelligence of those smaller nerves down there, and the nerves activate better, it's going to improve the circulation down there, and that will help fight the cystitis by getting more blood flow down there, just from my training. So it has that aspect of it too. Does that make sense?
Yes, and one of the ways to look at that is that as you're doing that with intention of activating that blood flow, and it's what we're using is energy, and energy is everything. Everything in the universe is energy. And when we realize that, just by you thinking that and holding that intention of activating that, combined with the circles, it's amazing what we can do. Thank you for bringing that up. Just every part of the body, as Sarah said at one point, covering the entire body. Thank you. So I would like to show this video, and in my book, which there are some pictures of containing cats that that you can't just contain them like with your arms because of the danger of their reaction in the beginning when they're aggressive. And one of the things I want to point out to you is our basis for our work is the concept that aggression comes from a place of fear, and it's a cry for help rather than thinking it's something that we take personal. And that's from the Course in Miracles. It's a basic concept that changed my life when I read that in 1981. Very different. Okay, so let's see. Let me go back to the screen share here, and I'm going to minute 25:18.
Not scratched me or bitten at me at all, but I've only touched her around the head and mouth. And I haven't tried to move her at all because Martha said if you touch her at all around the hindquarters or even on the ribs, she just reacts immediately.
I've been scratched twice in the last 10 minutes just by, if she's in a situation where she is uncomfortable or afraid, she'll turn and slash or bite immediately.
Now, what I'm working to do here is to see if we can find where her boundaries are. I mean, is she consistent in where she allows you to touch her or not? So far, when I was working with her just in the house, she consistently let me touch her anywhere on the head and neck. And I didn't go any farther back because I've seen consistently that she doesn't let you any farther back. Right. What we're going to do is wrap her in a towel now. So, okay. It's okay. It's a good baby. It's a good baby. Now, what's important here is that her paws are on the ground. I never wrap a cat up. I think it's very unfair to them because they've got to have the sense that they're in control by having the feet on the ground. And I've got her here quite firmly, but not so she feels that she's choked. I mean, there's a fine line there. Good mama, good mama, good mama. Oops, I've got to stay above her. And this isn't so good because she can back out of this. Careful, careful. And I like to have, what we have to do is lift this. I like to have them sitting between my legs on a couch to do this. Just hold this here so she can't go backwards, because she could just flip backwards.
And this may seem extreme, but remember, this was a real problem with her companion, this being bitten.
Good girl, good girl. Good girl, good girl.
And working around the mouth like that, that's the seat of our emotions,
Let me
around
get
the
it.
mouth.
Slip where you are. But you hold her. Did she purr? Well, she's not growling as much.
Now, for those of you who've never seen this before, you think, why would I do that? Because our outcome, we know
Now, you
what the
see,
outcome is.
suddenly she can accept this in the towel. And the reason that I didn't put her in the towel immediately, I really want you to see the difference. Because sometimes you think, oh, it was just because she's up here and a little nervous that she was that way. But it's not, is it? The thing that's nice about the touches is that you can use these with any of the other methods, no matter what it is, that whether it's traditional, allopathic, veterinary medicine, or whether it's just for behavioral purposes, or the owner doing this work. You can work with your veterinarian and you can do the touches. Now this is quite different, isn't it? It's interesting. It's a good mama kitty. Now when I stroke her around the mouth, I'm really careful about how I fold my fingers. I don't stick my fingers in front of her mouth. I fold them back so that if she were to bite me, she has a hard time getting her mouth on my fingers. It's okay. Yes. Easy, lady. Easy. And I'm going to fold my fingers back even as I'm doing the touch on her. And actually, I'm just going to try something for the heck of it to see if I can get even less than a...
Earlier in the film, I showed
even
what the pressures
less than a
were.
one pressure touch. Just see something.
And what's really important is always don't support the weight of your own hand. Don't place your hand on a cat.
Interesting that I can do the hair slides and the growling stops. That's nice. Okay. Now I'm using less than a, than a one touch. And you can feel this. If you would try something this light, imagine that having an effect. Do you have something you can, if you've got a jacket or something, you can just take and just do the circles like that on your skin? There's no pressure, but it has an effect. Yeah, you just fold it up so it's not even through your hand. Just try this on yourself. Now notice she's standing up now. Sitting up.
Her eyes are softening.
And her eyes are softening, Tom says.
That's like that little paintbrush that Robin,
She's still talking.
makeup brush.
Yeah, that's your language, isn't it? Yes. No, it's okay, sweetheart. It's a good kitty. It's a good kitty. It's a good kitty. Now, you noticed when she snapped just a moment ago, because the towel's around her shoulder, the normal reaction that followed that jumping didn't occur. And she was able to settle back in. And this is enough. This was a lot for her to come this far. And we never could have done this without the towel. It's a good girl. No. Now, when she starts to struggle like that, I just tighten this up so there's no room. This is right against the neck here, but there's no possibility of her struggling out of it. And yet it's not so tight that it makes her feel choked. It just makes her feel secure. It's a good mama kitty.
2 days ago, I would have sat with this cat like this. My hands probably would have been shredded, and I would be sitting here, or she wouldn't be in my lap, and I would be bleeding. She's had enough of the work in the last 2 days that it's made such a dramatic change that you're able to touch her on her body. We weren't even able to touch her anywhere near the back end of her body 2 days ago. And today we can touch her all over her body.
Oops. Oh, gotta stop this. Stop. Come on. I've got to stop this.
Okay, now working all the way down the tail like this is really helpful to give her a new sense of herself. What we find by these touches is that you activate neural impulses and parts of the body like that normally the cat doesn't feel. And the intent of the touches is to actually wake up the intelligence of the cells. So it's kind of like a wake-up call. So by these little circles, we go all over here and say, come on, feel this.
And today I would say that very differently. It's not waking up the intelligence, it's supporting the communication and the function between the communication between the cells. And anybody interested in that, I love the book by Dr. Bruce Lipton, the Spontaneous Evolution book. He has a whole chapter on the development and communication between the cells that really relates to this work.
And once your cat begins to feel different parts of the body, there is an increase in self-confidence. Also an increase in the cat's willingness to cooperate, which is, all of us cat owners know, sometimes they have a great mind of their own, which is the fun part of having cats. So I think that the touches sort of are a balance between respecting and admiring the individuality of the cat and at the same time helping them to adapt or to become more intelligent.
And I mean by that, adaptable.
That's nice. Most of the time, I go clockwise. If you've had an injury on a cat, what you might want to do is what we call the circle with the snail's tail. You imagine the face of the clock, and you put your fingers at 6, push gently around the face of the clock, past 6 to about 9 o'clock, make a little pause, and then slide the skin back to 6 and release. And what this does is seem to release pain. And we've done this on hundreds and, well, thousands of people by now. And this is a particular touch that is useful only in the case of, recovering injury or seeming pain in the body. Because that little quarter of a counterclockwise circle at the end seems to just dissipate the pain.
So we have come to the end of our time. Robin, do we want to look at any other questions or comments? I mean, have you seen any that we'd like to? Oh, the seizure question is ear TTouch. I think we went over that already.
Yeah, we did talk about that. I have I just going to show the, if people are interested in learning more, that, so there are some different cat online courses. Sarah Hauser, who's provided the video from the body wraps, she also has an Instagram account. So, and she shows lots of different cats. She does lots of little videos of cats and the same on her YouTube channel. And she also has some online courses. And we have on our learn.ttouch.ca website, we have, have a section on cats. And Saskia Block will be joining us in October to do a cat webinar that we'll be getting up soon. And so here's just again our the learn.ttouch.ca. And the other thing is, if any of you are interested, Linda and I were talking this morning, and she would be interested in November of maybe doing a 4 weeks of once a week meeting with people to do a little course on cats. So if you're interested in that, if you can let us know by email or on.
They can just write it in the chat, Robin. Here.
Right, yeah, then we have to find it, but yes, or then that would be great. Just let us know somehow and we'll get you details. And if you want to learn or want to join the community, if you're not already a member, this is where all of the videos from all the webinars go, Linda's DVDs. This is the back issues of the newsletter that I did for 30 years. There's a Facebook group, but you don't have to be on Facebook to join it. Facebook Lives with Linda and these weekly webinars. So it's a subscription-based program. So there's the details, www, although you don't need that, .ttou.ch is how you would sign up for that. So that's my little bit of promotion.
You have that on the end, right? Right.
I do indeed.
And this video is also in the library. So it's really worth watching the whole thing. Sorry that we didn't have more time for it, but it was more important to have this direct communication with people who have done this.
Right.
Thank you all for being with us. It's been so much fun for me to be with you all. And I'm going to look after and see where you all are from. It's so much fun for me to see how many countries we get. And sometimes I've had like 15 countries on. Without this Zoom, we could never do it. So thank you all. And I have to apologize to everybody because this video was like more than 20 years ago. We're still talking about cat owners. I was a little embarrassed to say, you know, it's our family at the time, but of course, everybody knows that they're our family now. Such a change in the times. I love it. So I see someone, I love Scotland. Yes, Wyoming, all these different fun places. So thank you all. And join me in doing these heart hugs. Let's just end with a heart hug. We have a few new people, but a heart hug is doing the TTouch on your heart chakra, which is your chest here. And you just imagine a clock on the wall. The reason you imagine that clock, when you activate your imagination and you take that imaginary clock and put it here, you're activating our right brain. And why is that important? Because our right brain, you all, is responsible for our feeling. So much of that has been shut down thanks to COVID, for our creativity, for our intuition, and for our compassion. That's imagining. Anything to do with imagining. And of course, also activate that right brain is music, color. One of the reasons that we use the colored wraps, the dance, just storytelling, sharing. And why do we take the clock? Because on this imaginary clock, we put the number 6 toward the ground, 9 toward the right shoulder, 12 toward the chin, and 3 to the left shoulder. Why do I say it? Because everybody knows what. Because that's a method that we do. And anything to do with method or numbers activates our logical left brain. And we need this to be here together. So when you're doing these TTouches on your kitties or on yourselves for releasing pain or fear, which you could do from this heart hug on your chest, the fear, what you're doing is activating both hemispheres. It's like this beautiful weaving back and forth. So we just take one hand, however it's comfortable for you, one hand over the other. And I'm just going to fold mine over because it's easy. I'm going to make a really tiny circle here, starting at 6, and I'm going to go up to 9, 12, 3, 6, back up to 9. Take a nice deep breath and smile. And as you do it, let's do another one. And this time, let's send out gratitude to all of our kitties. Since this is for kitties this time, and all the cats you've had in your lives. Oh my goodness. It's so wonderful to bring them in here to our thoughts and just send out that love that we've had for these incredible felines in our lives. Now, the reason we smile, when we smile, we activate the feel-good hormone, the serotonin. Another smile and a TTouch, and just send out love and gratitude into this amazing bodies that carry us around and allow us to be here together. So blessings, you all. Join me Each night, Roland and I share 3 blessings in our life, and we send that out to the universe. One of my blessings is you all being here. Wherever you are, when we choose gratitude over anything else, we reduce the fear on the whole planet. Blessings and aloha. Robinski, thank you so much. And I'm going home. I'm going to see, we're having a family reunion next weekend. Till then, aloha. Oops, stop the recording.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Stop the recording. Okay.